Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Friday and the weekend is upon us once again. So we do have some updates here for you guys. And again, thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. But what we're going to talk about is a continuation from yesterday where we saw Marathon terminating the contract with Hut 8. Hut 8 provided a statement on that as well, or a release on it. We actually get to find out how much they're getting paid to basically leave. And then we'll also take a look at Terawulf and Cleanspark production updates. And I think that's going to be it. So it should be pretty short and sweet. As always, chapters are going to be down below for you guys to skip over to the ones you want to see. And as always, this is not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And then let's take a look at the markets really quick, what's going on with Bitcoin and the miners really quick, and then we'll get into the stories that we do have here. So the good news is Bitcoin today was actually above the 50-day moving average here. It's at, well, it was up just slightly today. It was up 0.24%, so basically a 0.25% up. It finished at 43,181. So we're looking pretty good there. We're still above it right now. Our next possible challenge line is going to be right around probably the 43,600 mark, somewhere around there. We can see that we do have quite a bit of resistance there maybe. If we get past that, we might be going back up to like 45,000, but we'll see if that happens. Or if we get rejected at the 43,600 markers, that might be like right around there. Somewhere around there, we're going to get possibly rejected. If not, we're going to go up higher. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at it right now. And then as far as the miners are concerned, the miners were down today. Single digits down for the most part. There were some noticeable mentions, or how do you say that? Can't remember. Well, ones to mention here. Cores was up 11.61%. I think that one might have bottomed out here at approximately 261. Kind of bounced off of that. And we'll see if it continues going up higher or if it's going to go up a little bit and then fall back down. We'll have to see, right? We don't have a lot of data on this chart right now, so we'll see what happens there. Another mention here was Mawson was up another 5%, again, for no real reason. Like I said before, I think this might be just a buyout candidate potentially for some of the miners come having event, and people are just getting into it for that reason. But you can see here that it has been bouncing kind of off the 50-day moving average as well here. Earlier in the week, or January, this was back in January 25th, kind of bounced off of that line there, and then it's bounced off of it a little bit here today as well. So keep an eye on that one. And then who else was up here today? That was basically it. I mean, you had Iron up a little bit at 1%, so that was good. DMG up just barely. And then everybody else was in the red here. So we'll see how things go forward next week. We got the weekend, obviously, to relax and take a look at some of these things that are happening. But that's it for those. Let's take a look at the first story that we do have here, which is going to be on Hut 8. So Hut 8 concluding managed services at Kearney, Nebraska and Granbury, Texas in Q2. We knew this obviously from yesterday. We talked about it. One of the questions that I had was how much was Marathon paying Hut 8 to take a walk? And well, now we get to find out. So Hut 8 has negotiated an agreement with the new owners of two of the Hut 8's managed services sites, Charlie in Kearney, Nebraska, and Delta in Granbury, Texas, which includes $13,568,000 payment made to Hut 8 in connection with termination of the property management agreements at the two sites. So that's kind of interesting how much they're going to pay. So I wonder, the question is, how much were they getting a year, basically? And then you can figure out what they're getting a month, what they're getting for a day. Could Marathon actually save money on it, right? I would think so based on what they're paying them, but depending on what they were paying them, I have to probably dig through a lot of papers to try and figure that out. But that's definitely a sizable chunk of change for them for just taking a walk. And then also down here, we anticipate an orderly transition of the operations in the coming months and look forward to providing updates about our future plans as we are able to. Under the termination agreement signed January 30th with Marathon Digital Holdings, Hut 8 will continue to provide managed services and conduct self-mining activities at Charlie and Delta sites through April 30th. The termination fee will be paid within 30 days of termination date. The thing that stood out to me here was conduct self-mining activities. So they have miners there, so it looks like they're going to get kicked out of there based on this. And the question is, I was trying to figure out how many miners do they have over there? What is the exahash that they are talking about that's going to have to be moved someplace else? And right now, I don't know if Hut 8 has any facilities where they can move those miners. So that might be, that might be a bad spot for them. So I looked through the S4 here. I was trying to find out what they had at those facilities. I couldn't find anything. I looked for exahash. I looked for Kearney, Texas. I'm trying to find anything on those things. See if there's anything listed as far as what they have as far as hash rate. If you guys know what they have over there, I would be interested to hearing it or reading it. If you guys post it in the comments, that would kind of let us know where Hut 8 possibly could be after this, right? That's pretty much going to be after the halving event. So if those two sites held majority of US Bitcoin's machines that were being hosted there or mined there, That's going to drop them back down to, well, if we look at it here really quick, let's go to hut 8 here, right? We have basically they were supposed to be at, let's see, top purchase, I don't think I have it here, USBTC, but there's 7.3, and without them, so that's merger, total 7.3 exahash. Hut hit like 3 exahash at that point. So we're looking at maybe like 4 exahash possibly coming offline. I don't know exactly. So I'm just speculating here, guessing. But I'd like to know, obviously, how much they have in that. And maybe I'll reach out to Sue and find out if they can provide that information as far as how much exahash is in those 2 facilities that they are obviously self-mining there. So that's something I'll do over the weekend here. And maybe we'll get Sue on the Twitter Spaces that's going to be coming up here on Sunday. Maybe she can shed some light onto this, or maybe the new president of, well, no, he wouldn't be able to provide anything, but maybe we can get Sue on here. So we'll see if we can do that. Going back, okay, so that's basically hut 8. It's nice that they got paid for it, but the interesting part, like I said, is going to be how much hash rate do they have in those facilities, and where are they going to put it? So we want to know that. Okay, next here, it's going to be pretty simple here. Terawulf announces January 2024 production and operation update. 7.1 exahash and counting, so that's good news there. If we scroll down here, we can see January 2024 highlights. Self-mined 313 Bitcoin in January with an average production rate of over 10 Bitcoin per day. Now, at least this month, they haven't yet provided the separation between the joint venture and their self-mining, which is, I believe, well, we'll talk about it here. I can't remember the names for the 2 facilities that they have. I think Nautilus is one, and then the other one I can't remember right now, Lake Mariner. There we go, Lake Mariner. Lake Mariner is, I believe, they're self-mining, and then Nautilus is the joint venture. So they have a 25% stake in Nautilus, the joint venture. That number, what they're getting from that one, is being included here as well. Okay, so we'll go over the details here in a little bit. Power cost averaged 16,737 per Bitcoin, or approximately 5 cents per kilowatt hour. This does not include a benefit of demand response or ancillary services as well. And then some updates on their building. So building 3 at Lake Mariner was fully deployed at month end, utilizing roughly 2/3 of the company's recent purchased 2.8 exahash of S19J Pros, or sorry, S19J XPs. The balance of the S19J XPs purchase is planned to be installed by early February to consume open infrastructure capacity as it becomes available in connection with the nearing expiration of the company's only hosting agreement. So that's good there. Strategically deployed performance tuning, including efficiency mode and selected miner curtailment during the week of elevated energy pricing mid-January, in addition to overclocking to increase hash rate when energy pricing normalized. So that's good there that they are doing that. Down here also, we continue to explore firmware and third-party solutions to further improve performance, and testing has shown up to a 10% increase in output while maintaining stock efficiency added fuel. So that's pretty good, 10% increase. That's actually really good. So if they can do that, they might see a 10% uptick, which at 7 exahash, something like that, that just might be, well, if they do that, it would be what? 70 petahash? No. 70 or 700 petahash. I think it might be 700 petahash at that point. Increase. That would be nice. Production and operation update. So the company expects to deploy an additional 5,000 S19J XPs at the Lake Mariner in early February, which will increase Terawulf's self-mining hash rate by an additional 10% from 7.2 to 7.9 exahash. Construction building for 35 megawatt at the Lake Mariner facility is well underway and remains on track to be completed by mid-2024, which will provide over 12,000 additional miner slots, which would further increase Terawulf's total operational capacity to approximately 10 exahash. So that would be great if they could get to that by the end of first half. Okay. And I think that's it here for that one. No news as far as on debt repayments here. So that's interesting that they didn't include that in there. I'm guessing they'll probably put that in Q4 results or year-end results, whenever those come out. So we'll look at those when they do come out. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them here, and then we'll get into Cleanspark. So Terawulf, price on the stock prices are from yesterday. They were down a little, they were up, I can't remember if they were down or up, but the stock prices are from yesterday. I forgot to update this now. I just realized this. So I'll get that updated for the Patreon members. And as always, the Patreon members have access to all of the spreadsheets that I do, all the updates when they do come out. And the link to that is in the description below if you're interested in that. It's only $8 a month right now, and there might be a couple spots still in the $5 tier and the $4 tier. So if you want to get something at a discount, there's your chance. Okay, but going back to here. So right now, 238 million shares outstanding, market cap 435 million. And the performance over the last 12 weeks hasn't been great or bad. It's been kind of in the middle. They're up 72% from 12 weeks ago. 8 weeks ago, they're down 7.7. From 4 weeks ago, they're down 12.4. And then last week, they were actually up 2.22% on that one. And then here's the BTC self-mined. You can see that, forgot, current hash rate, 7.1, future hash rate about 7.9, right? So we know that. So they had really good growth this month, which helped them out quite a bit here, maintain their self-mining and joint venture as well numbers. But BTC self-mined estimated, right? This is what we're working with here. I'm estimating about 234. They don't report it. I asked them to report it going forward. Maybe they'll report it in February numbers. We'll see. This now is just estimated. This is what I'm trying to figure out for them. Okay. Monthly difference as far as BTC mined. BTC hodl, they don't hodl anything. They sell everything right now as they're trying to pay down debt. BTC per exahash efficiency did come down here to 44. They curtailed quite a bit here in January, like they stated in the press release, but we'll point out how much they actually might have curtailed. BTC sold with self and joint venture, so they sold everything that they mined. And then you got hash rate combined with joint venture self-mining. It's about 7.1 exahash there. Self-mined revenue estimated is about 10.4, and then BTC sold was 13.43 million here. And that is basically what they generated with the combination of joint venture and the self-mining side of things. Going down here, we'll get through all this later. But as far as the machines here, we can see here that, like I said, JV equals Nautilus, self-mine equals Lake Marinum. This is just for my own use, so I know which numbers to go add where. And then the red numbers here are the joint venture. So this is kind of what I was able to figure out. Miners and red are part of Nautilus joint venture. Nautilus joint venture with Terawulf having 25% stakes. Wait a minute, now I'm getting myself, yeah, Nautilus is right, okay. The BTC mined from these do not go to rewards but revenue into assets or other places they mentioned here. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here, trying to figure all that out. And then in January, I had them, based on what they reported, mining approximately 23.78 days out of the month. So definitely a lot of curtailment happening there because of the weather potentially. They also reported, if I go back here, I think it was someplace over here. Where was it? Where did I see it? 2.8. They actually provided, okay, average operating hash rate for the month was 5.4. And that's kind of how I was able to figure out what they were actually mining in days wise, more or less. So January, we have them at 23.78. The new miners that came on board right now, I have those mining for about 20 days on average, right? So just a calculation there. And we still had to add about 1.3 million in BTC transaction fees. So the BTC transaction fees for January were actually down about 60% from where they were in December. So I actually pulled all the numbers in today into a spreadsheet, added it all up, compared it to what they had in December, and it came out to be about 60% less. So definitely a big drop here from where we were. Okay, nonetheless, here's what we do have for them. So joint venture still has about 1.9 exahash in it. That equates to about 3.4 million in revenue. They're self-mining based on what they actually mined here on the total number of Bitcoins, minus what JV got. The self-mining came in at basically 10 million right there. Self-mined BTC, 23.85 or 233.85, sorry, on that one, okay? More or less. It's going to be off a little bit here. It's not the best. Ideally, I'd like them to report it as much as they can between the difference between the two. What is the joules per terahash? Not joules per terahash. Well, they could report that too. But the terahash for self-mining, joint venture, what was mined for self-mining, joint venture, that would make it a lot easier on us to figure out actually what's going on here. So as you can see here, I'm tracking both BTC mined revenue. This is for the combined 313 that they reported. And I'm trying to figure out what is the self-mined revenue here as well. And that's kind of what we're going to be using in our numbers. Because like I said, the joint venture stuff does not go into the revenue side of things. It does get put into another field that they have on their balance sheet. I believe it's under assets. Okay, next, institutions here. Institutions did increase quite nicely to 152. Shares also increased to 51 million, so that's good. Percentage owned by institutions is now 21.4%. We still have the same strong buy rating of 1, buy rating 4 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sell. Price target actually went up to $4.50. Average went up to $3.70, and the low stayed the same at $3. So that's fine there. Now, looking at the numbers that we do have here for the January numbers, we're using a combination of months here. So for the top one, we're using basically the estimated number for Q4 numbers, along with the actual numbers for Q3 and Q2. And then we're also using the current quarter that we're in right now. So these are estimated numbers. These are all going to change, obviously, as we get more data for February and March. But this kind of just estimated if they mine for the full month in both February and March, and this goes for all the miners here. So going up here, I have in between $3.85 to $5.78. That's pretty close to where the analysts are. And then if we look forward to the next 12 months, and we use the revenue from January, multiply that times 2 months before the halving event, and then 10 months at 50% after the halving, we're looking at approximately $2.95 to $4.42. And that is pretty close to where the analysts have it. So that's kind of interesting that analysts are getting pretty close to what I'm having things. Before they were way off. So that is it. I still think that they are undervalued. Obviously, there's a reason for it. We have the debt. They need to pay down the debt. If they can do that, I think they will be in a much better position, right? That's the big thing that's holding them back. They are going to be restructuring that debt with hopefully extending it out for another couple of years. That would give them some time to pay it down. But we'll see how they do, right? It's still kind of early here. And obviously, they need to get that done pretty soon here because I think they need to pay around $40 million by April 1st. So they got basically 2 months to come up with $40 million to pay down that loan or that debt. Otherwise, they have to then have different payment terms and things like that under it. You can look it up in their numbers or quarterly results. It should be all in there. Okay, so that's it for Terawulf. Like I said, still undervalued, but the debt is obviously, I think, a contributing factor to why they're undervalued. And then the BTC HODL is at 0 right now. It's understandable why they don't mine anything because they're trying to pay down the debt. Okay, so that's where we're at with that one. Next, let's get into our last one here, which is going to be on Cleanspark. Going down here. Cleanspark releases January 2024 Bitcoin mining update. And here's what we do have. I'm excited to announce that we expect energization to begin at our Sandersville expansion next week with approximately 4.6 exahash of machines fully hashing by mid-month. So that's still shy of the 6 exahash that they were supposed to get to. And this was from Zach Bradford. So at least they're going to get partially there. And we do have an update as far as the rest of it down below here as well. Which we'll get into here shortly. January Bitcoin mining update, they mined 577, which is obviously a decrease from what they had in December, but like we talked about, the Bitcoin transaction fees were down 60%, so that also contributed to that as well. And they did curtail a little bit here as well. We'll look at that. Total Bitcoin holdings as of January 31st was 3,573, so a nice increase there. They only sold 6.4 Bitcoin, so the majority of the Bitcoin that they did mine, they put it into HODL. Deployed fleet of 89,000, month-end fleet efficiency 26.4 joules. And then current hash rate 10.09 is kind of what we have them at right now. Okay, operational update. Sandersville expansion. Crews are racking machines in preparation for the February 6th energization date. So that's just 4 days away. So that's going to be on Tuesday. The first 100 megawatts are expected to be fully live by mid-February, delivering an expected hash rate of 4.6 exahash. The remaining 50 megawatts of expansion is undergoing equipment testing by the manufacturer. So as soon as that gets done, I guess that will get probably plugged in, I'm guessing, based on this. So there should be maybe up to, well, we'll see how long that takes. But based on this, I'm guessing there might be up to the 16 exahash by the end of February, if not early March. But we'll have to see. Okay, and I think that is it. They also provided here that Dalton expansion. Permitting is underway for the expansion of the company's Dalton campus. The 15 megawatt expansion is expected to double the operating hash rate there to 1.6 exahash. So they're currently operating at 800 petahash there. So there's a little bit more that they can obviously put in there. 800 petahash, that would get them closer to the 20 exahash that they want to get to by the end of the first half. All right, that's it for that. Let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for Cleanspark. And here's what we got. So 184 million shares outstanding. Stock price as of yesterday was $8.36. Market cap 1.5 billion. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been pretty good. 12 weeks ago, they're up 114%. From 8 weeks ago, they're down 22%. From 4 weeks ago, they're down 21%. And last week, they were up 16.59%. Okay, current hash rate 10 exahash. Future hash rate 32 exahash. Hash rate growth left 22. So they still have a lot of growth left in them. What else do we have here? HODL. HODL is valued at 153 million right now, which is nice if Bitcoin goes up in value. Let's just say Bitcoin goes up 2x, that's going to be $300 million there. If it goes up 3x, you're looking at $450 million. So definitely a good war chest here going into, going into the next bear market potentially. If this plays out, normally they sell, I think, in bull runs where Bitcoin's going up in value. They start selling a little bit because really nobody knows where it's going to peak. So not a bad thing to do there. BTC, 577 for the month here. You can see that their average was 612 for the last 13 months or so. So they are slightly below it here. Month over month BTC mined, so they mined 143 less. BTC HODL has increased to 3,573 from 3,002. BTC per exahash efficiency, 57.2. So that's come back down a little bit, but kind of we're in line. We're in line where we would expect them to be, with the network hash rate increasing consistently. December was an off month here a little bit, along with November, where we got quite a bit more Bitcoin transaction fees, which added to their BTC production. BTC sold, and you can see how much they've been selling here recently. Hash rate growth, they've been stuck at 10 exahash for the last 4 months. With them getting to the 14 and then 16 exahash, possibly next month, will be a nice jump in it, or this month that we're in. Monthly revenue, they peaked at 30.6 in December, just as a lot of other miners peaked in December as well. And then their revenue fell here to 24.76, which is still higher than what it was in November. So that's still kind of good there. They're still trending upwards. Hash rate growth here, month over month. Bitcoin sold value, how much they sold each month. And then coming down here, we'll look at what we actually had for them this month. So if we look at January here, January we had them mining at 29.43 days. And that's basically because I had to add transaction fees into what they actually mined. So it looks like they curtailed for about a day and a half roughly. That equates to about like 1.5 million in revenue loss potentially for them, somewhere around there. The good thing is that a lot of it was made up by the Bitcoin transaction fees, which were at, I had to add 2.4 million into that. As you saw, we had 6.1 million here in December, right? So a big drop from where we were, and that got us obviously to the 24.763 million on that one. And then I have their efficiency here at 26.62, and my numbers are pretty close to that, which I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, that is for operation side of things. When we look at the numbers on top, again, remember that we're using the quarter that we're currently in. The previous quarter, which is still an estimated number, and then the prior 2 quarters, Q3 and Q2, those are actual numbers. So we do have 2 quarters that we're kind of estimating here on. Institutions-wise, 240, so that's a nice increase there. 72.46 million shares included in that. Percentage owned dropped to 37.1, so there's probably some dilution happening here. There's probably more shares in the market. And then we do still have the 2 strong buy ratings, 3 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, 0 underperform, 0 sell. Price targets stayed the same at $14.20 for the high, $11.87 for the average, and $8 for the low. All right. Based on all of that, I have them for the last current quarter and the last 3 quarters between $13.11 to $19.67. They are at $8.36. I think they're undervalued. Then if we look forward to the next 12 months, the 2 months before the having at 100%, and then the 10 months after at 50%, we're looking at $9.39 to $14.08. So still undervalued based on that, right? Other than that, the only thing I would have wished to have heard from them was a little bit more as far as what are their plans to get to, obviously, the 20 exahash there, further to get them, or closer to get them to that, and then beyond that, when they want to get to 32 exahash, what is the plans there? They've stated they're looking for M&As potentially after the halving event, right? So we'll see if we hear anything come maybe at the end of April something, right? We might hear something at that point. But we'll have to see. Other than that, that is about it. We're getting close to the halving event, which is great. And then usually after that, Bitcoin starts to go up a little bit, and then even up some more. And that's kind of what, that's kind of what we're waiting on, is for that to happen, right? The halving event always triggers a nice bull run, and we might see possibly tops in Bitcoin and the miners sometime in 2025. Whether it's the beginning of, probably not the beginning, but I'm guessing maybe like Q2, somewhere around there. Q1, at the end of Q1 and Q2 of 2025, somewhere around there, we might be getting close to the tops if history repeats itself. The only thing that's different now is the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Those could extend the bull run longer. We don't know, right? It's a new world out there, so we'll see how that all goes. But that's about it. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We may do some updates. If not, I may do also a live stream tomorrow, I think. Just going to go over what's happened this past week. We'll look at how the miners did against the Bitcoin this past week as well. And we'll do a live show on, I think, on that one. So after that, I'll probably do a live stream on Wednesdays as well. So kind of give 2 live streams a week. I think it's going to work out pretty well. But that is it. So thank you again so much for coming in to watch this. Thank you so much for hitting the like button, subscribing, hitting the notification bell. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Until then, bye.